Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge news. New York Post LETICIA James dodges questions about mortgage fraud scandal outside New York home, pretends to be on the phone. She has been referred for a criminal investigation, but the indictment is almost certain. The arrest and indictment after the resignation is virtually certain based on the following. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. We were going to do a live stream. I want to just give you the facts. As of this moment, she has not, I think her office has called President Trump a bully, but I don't believe that she has refuted or offered a rebuttal to any of the accusations. Won't have a live stream tonight. This is going to be the upload that explains everything that we have so far in terms of public record. Check this out.
New York State Attorney General LETICIA James now faces a criminal referral from the Federal Housing Finance Agency, accusing her of fraud to get lower mortgage rates. James, whose public salary is $222,000 a year, has obtained home loans for several properties with claims that are apparently false. In 2023, papers show she claimed a house in Norfolk, Virginia as her primary residence. That qualifies for a lower mortgage rate. But at the time she's been serving in public office in Albany, New York.
As Attorney General in New York, she has to have a residence, a primary residence in New York. In addition to that, of course, in Virginia, you pay lower property tax. You could probably get a better mortgage rate. There's less regulation. Home insurance costs less. Utilities likely cost less. So essentially, Attorney General James is doing what a lot of people do, leaving blue states, and Virginia is purple, so to speak. But let's continue.
That's 500 miles away. She bought another building with her father as co-signer, calling herself his wife. And the referrals also show that
if that is true, ladies and gentlemen, that is almost certain prison time. If that is true, ladies and gentlemen, this is the face, the heart, the soul of the Democratic Party, the modern Democratic Party. Politicians that try to imprison Trump, yet themselves are accused of or possibly committed numerous crimes. This is, by the way, the second Attorney General in New York. Eric Schneiderman being the first. This will be the second that is forced to resign because of a scandal. Then you had Andrew Cuomo, who was forced to resign because of numerous allegations and scandals. Let's continue. We don't even have to get into Anthony Weiner and others.
She bought this brownstone in Brooklyn, New York, but misrepresented the number of units in it. That lowered the mortgage rate there too.
This is really for James, the very case that she most famously brought. She insisted that these technicalities matter and that the powerful should not be given a free pass. Well, that bill has come due in this case. She's going to have to deal with this filing.
Well, James's office issued this statement saying, quote, "The Attorney General James is focused every single day on protecting New Yorkers, especially as this administration weaponizes the federal government against the rule of law and the Constitution. She will not be intimidated by."
This, of course, is not any rebuttal or refutation of mortgage fraud. This is simply the same political banter against Trump that gave him the popular vote, thank God.
Bullies, no matter who they are. Well, by law, James' primary residence has to be in New York State, not the Commonwealth of Virginia, for her to even serve as the Attorney General. She must have lived in the state for the last 5 years before the election, so we'll have to see if she lived.
Then there's the issue of the other person, the other individual on the loan who potentially was her father, who possibly could be on the documents seen as or written as her quote-unquote husband, which possibly, potentially, as the Honorable James Comey says, potentially, when he was asked by, I think it was Jake Tapper on CNN, do you think Director Comey, would you testify against Andrew McCabe? And he said, potentially, possibly, potentially. And then I just thought of the Dionne Warwick song, That's What Friends Are For. It was amazing. It was a wonderful moment in CNN history. Anyway, let's continue.
I want to be clear. I think I may have said 2002. I believe it was 2003 that the case against Trump started. That is when she applied for this. So the fact that she accused and won in court against President Trump on charges involving documents, the fact that she then apparently, reportedly misrepresented herself on documents speaks volumes, and will be interesting to see how this all plays out.
Todd, what would be the point of listing that as your primary residence? So you can pay taxes in Virginia and not New York?
That appears to be unclear. I mean, look, inevitably she is paid by the state of New York.
Yeah. So
her income taxes, but, I'm no tax law expert. Presumably, when you do something like that, there is a tax reason. It could be connected to some familial relation.
Gains,
but at the end of the day, you don't tweak documents like that, probably, unless there's some financial gain to you. And that is ultimately what she accused Donald Trump of doing in 2000.
Yeah, why would you list your dad as your husband? Maybe your dad's helping her financially. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
But you can't do that. You can't list your dad. That's so easy to find out, though.
I know.
What kind of bank? It's not asking. He looks a little older than you. You sure this is,
maybe some.
So the issue is not only the primary residence, it's the potential of the father potentially being listed as the husband in these documents. We're not even probably at the tip of the iceberg in terms of bizarre, very wacky Democratic Party shenanigans. This is Tammany Hall in full display. Let's not even get into Anthony Weiner. We don't even have to get into Anthony Weiner.
Here, this seems pretty straightforward. What the administration is saying is this was not her principal residence. In fact, as a New York elected official, she had to say that her principal residence was in New York. This was an out-of-state residence, but also. In some of these forms, she actually states that her father is her husband in order to file as a married couple. So there's a lot of those questions. And as you know, the Supreme Court just stated earlier in March in a case called Thompson that they want to see knowing false statements under sections like 1014, not just misleading statements. These are misleading statements.
And I think potentially listing an individual that is certainly not a husband is a knowingly false statement. That is a big problem, in addition to perhaps other reasons why she engaged potentially in this behavior. I mean, the indictment, the arrest, indictment, resignation prior to all of this is almost certain.
In my eyes, the evidence that he's uncovered here really looks like there's a pattern of obfuscation, stuff that she has signed and notarized that does not seem to be accurate. And so the story's been bubbling up. And then when Laura Ingraham breaks it nationally, it gets attention. And as you mentioned, it's been referred to DOJ for a criminal referral. And that is no joke. That is the top of the prosecutorial food chain. She's going to have to answer this out.
And you were on this very early as well with your Substack. If we can pull up call for number 1 right here. You had the headline, Sunday report, a Tish James scandal. Is the New York Attorney General guilty of exactly what she sued Donald Trump for? You then go into the details of what she's potentially accused of now. So what's it like for you?
So with Trump, it was a completely outlandish case. Trump is a brand, a former president, current president, won the popular vote, part of Americana, even before he ran for president, owns hotels, casinos, resorts, golf clubs, you name it, The Apprentice. So he can go to any bank in anywhere of the world and get $1 billion loan. It's not a problem at all. Deutsche Bank gave him $2 billion and testified also that they would continue to give money. And that any evaluation of his wealth or any representation of his wealth was not how they determined the loan amount. the banks do due diligence. They want to give to Trump because they know Trump is not only a billionaire, but a part of American history. This might be a bit different. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Indictment ahead almost certainly.